I'm going to do a little kind of live back to basics lesson on poetry analysis. So if we can see my computer screen, what I've got pulled up here. If you're ever asked to analyze a poem, one good tip for doing this is what we call TP cast. You may have heard of this, you may not, but I'm going to keep this up on the screen so that you can maybe write this down if you want to. So any poem that you've got, if it's on a standardized test, on an AP test, or just regular homework, if you're asked to analyze it, that term might be a little broad for you. So one thing you might want to do is break down the poem. And if you can remember TP cast, then you can remember how to break this down. You start with the title, and what I always tell my students is this is one chance where you can judge a book by its cover or by its title. So you read the poem's title first without thinking or reading anything in the poem, and you think about what you think the poem's going to be about just based on the title. So you write down your general first thoughts. Then read the poem and move on to paraphrasing it. When you paraphrase something, you put it into your own words. So let's say it's a 5-stanza long poem. You might want to have about 5 sentences that put the poem into your own words. This helps you to really understand what the poem is about whenever you put it into your own words. So the next thing is to look for words that have a deeper meaning. Connotation is the deeper figurative meaning of the word. So a word like light has a deeper meaning. It's not the denotation that you're looking for. This is not TP dast, it's TP cast. But I want to point out that you're not looking for the dictionary definition of the word. So if you saw the word light in a poem, you're not going to say something that illuminates the room, okay? There's a deeper meaning to the word light. When people say, I saw the light, they don't mean they saw a light bulb, okay? They are actually saying that they have had an epiphany or an awakening, or they've been enlightened, or it can be various things. Also, the word cold, the dictionary definition, the denotation of cold is just not hot. But if we say that someone is acting cold, then they might be heartless or mean or not loving. There's always a deeper meaning, a connotation to almost all words, a meaning that you're not going to find in the dictionary. So if you pick out a few words, again, if we're looking at a 5-stanza poem, you should be able to find about 5 words that have a deeper meaning. Poets love to use figurative language. The A stands for attitude. You're looking for the speaker's attitude, not the poet's, because you probably don't know what he or she was thinking, but the attitude or the mood or tone that you're getting as you're reading this poem. The next part is a shift, and while you may not think there was a shift in the poem, there typically is. It might be in meter, it could be in tone, it could be in the way that the words have been organized. Maybe a writer started off with really great grammar and then they used their poetic license to change it up a bit. There's almost always a shift, and when you find this shift, you need to explain why it's a shift. Because the great thing about language arts is that you have a lot of room for interpretation. And if you can back up your opinions with facts and evidence, then you're most likely going to get the answer right. The next part, you'll see the word title again. That's our second to last T. Now that you've read the poem, you should know what the title means. You may be able to say, oh, I was right when I first looked at the title, or maybe now you were wrong, and now you know what the title really means and how it applies to the poem. And the last T is the theme. Theme is the central message. I always like to explain it as the moral of the story because it's not what the poem's about, okay? It's the central idea. Things like love conquers all or money can't buy happiness, a very kind of general central idea that can apply to various other works. You could have a poem, a novel, and a movie that all have the same theme. So it can't be exactly what the poem's about, it's more of the central message. So if you can remember this TP cast formula, you have a really good strategy for analyzing poems. So hopefully you were able to get something out of that or maybe write it down. And if you have any further questions about poetry analysis or figurative language or literary terms, please feel free to call in or text in and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you.